Hi, I'm Reb Myron. I'm a minister through Pathways of Light, and I've been a Course in Miracles student for 40 years. This year, I'm going through the lessons. I'm asking Jesus for clarity, and then I'm writing from that clarity, whatever comes to me. And that's what I'm sharing with you. So let's get started. We're looking at lesson 100 today. My part is essential to God's plan for salvation. Paragraph 1. Just as God's Son completes his Father, so your part in it completes your Father's plan. Salvation must reverse the mad belief in separate thoughts, in separate bodies, which lead separate lives and go their separate ways. One function shared by separate minds unites them in one purpose, for each one of them is equally essential to them all. This makes perfect sense when I think about it. Our problem is that we feel separate from each other and from God. This creates a sense of competition and thus conflict within the Son of God, where before there was only love. To correct this problem, we need to come together again, leaving behind all sense of separateness. Joining in purpose is a way we're to do this. In this way, we're all striving toward the same goal. Each person's part may take a different form, but the content will be the same. As Jesus says, one function shared by separate minds unites them in one purpose, for each of them is equally essential to them all. The image that comes to mind is of a huge box of puzzle pieces scattered about us. If each person is trying to make their own picture from their pieces, the picture will never come together. But if each person knows what their part is to look like when the picture is done, the whole picture takes form and makes sense. One piece left out or one person going their own way, and the picture is never complete. We would all have to work together. Instead of trying to compete and thus making enemies of each other, we would work as one. In the end, we would be like the puzzle, coming together as one beautiful self. Paragraph 2. God's will for you is perfect happiness. Why should you choose to go against his will? The part that he has saved for you to take in working out his plan is given you that you might be restored to what he wills. This part is as essential to his plan as to your happiness. Your joy must be complete to let his plan be understood by those to whom he sends you. They will see their function in your shining face and hear God calling to them in your happy laugh. When I read this lesson, I always think about my friend John. John was a happy man. He genuinely cared about people, and his happy attitude was what drew me to him. As I introduced him to family members and friends, I realized that everyone was drawn to him. John wasn't from around here, and one day he asked me to go to church with him. He chose a church of the same denomination he attended at home, and though this was not a church that I liked, I went with him. The reason I didn't like that church is that it was a hellfire church that preached the fear of God. The people in it were a somber lot. As it happens, he didn't like it either, and so we never had to go back. Later, I was talking to my mom about our visit to the church. She also had the same aversion to churches that leave you feeling fearful. Mom made an interesting comment that made an impression on me. She said that if everyone in that church was as happy as John, she would join it. So happiness is God's plan for us, not fear or sacrifice. Others are attracted to happiness and will want to have what we have. Paragraph 3. You are indeed essential to God's plan. Without your joy, his joy is incomplete. Without your smile, the world cannot be saved. While you are sad, the light that God himself appointed as a means to save the world is dim and lusterless, and no one laughs because all laughter can but echo yours. Paragraph 4. You are indeed essential to God's plan. Just as your light increases every light that shines in heaven, so your joy on earth calls to all minds to let their sorrows go and take their place beside you in God's plan. God's messengers are joyous, and their joy heals sorrow and despair. They are the proof that God wills perfect happiness for all who will accept their Father's gifts as theirs. We are like the puzzle pieces in that box. The end picture is one of shining and joyful faces. Not one piece can be left out or the puzzle isn't complete. And imagine the colorful and happy finished puzzle. Only this picture had scattered pieces that were dark and foreboding, pieces that didn't fit with the rest. It wouldn't in the end show us a picture we were expecting and hoping for. Like the pieces in that flawed puzzle, we seem like separate people, some happy, some sad. It seems that some people have good lives and others suffer through theirs. It appears as if there's not enough of what is needed for everyone. So there are individuals scrambling about, pushing and shoving to get what they need without concern for others. It's hard to be happy when living like that. Now, what if you found a group of people who happily shared what they had? When you showed up, they smiled at you as if they were thrilled to meet a new friend and welcomed you with open arms. Suppose that these people laughed a lot and seemed genuinely joyful, and no matter what was going on around them, remained at peace. Would you want what they had, or would you long for the suffering group you had left? Yeah, me too. Paragraph 5. We will not let ourselves be sad today, for if we do, we fail to take the part that is essential to God's plan, as well as to our vision. Sadness is a sign that you would play another part instead of what has been assigned to you by God. Instead of what has been assigned to you by God. Thus, you fail to show the world how great the happiness He wills for you, and so you do not recognize that it is yours. Paragraph 6. Today, we will attempt to understand joy as our function here. If you are sad, your part is unfulfilled, and all the world is thus deprived of joy along with you. God asked you to be happy, so the world can see how much He loves His Son and wills no sorrow rise to abate His joy. No fear besets Him to disturb His peace. You are God's messengers today. You bring His happiness to all you look upon, His peace to everyone who looks on you and sees His message in your happy face. I want to be a teacher of God, and I know that if my words and actions are not congruent, I won't be a very good teacher. I teach that God loves us and that He wants us to be happy. If, on the other hand, I'm clearly not happy, then I won't get the truth across because I won't be living the truth. Most of the time, I'm happy and peaceful these days. However, I had a challenge recently when my son was sick. In order to get my happy on, I had to let go of a few thoughts that were obstructing the truth. I would feel fear rising up in me that my son might have something serious happening to his body. On top of that, he had some other challenges at the same time. I kept going back to the Holy Spirit with my thoughts until I was ready to release them. Then I was given the thought that put a smile back on my face. The thought was that the only thing happening here is he is waking up. Oh yeah, of course. Nearly every major shift I have ever experienced came after a challenging life situation. Jesus says we don't have to suffer in order to wake up, but we probably will. For a long time, this is true for me. I don't know about you, but I can be stubborn. I would resist doing the little that Jesus asked of us until life became too painful. Then I would ask for help and get serious about my practice. My son was just sitting in his classroom, doodling away, staring out the window. Then his inattention caught up with him and he was given a difficult assignment with some strong motivation to complete it. I know the feeling. This doesn't mean he knows that this is what is happening. For a long time, I didn't understand that my problems were actually opportunities either. Regardless of what he does with this opportunity, recognizing this situation for what it is helped me to pop back into reality. I started blessing him with the lessons we are doing. I reminded myself of his true identity. In this way, I became a help and I became happy again. Paragraph 7. We will prepare ourselves for this today in our 5-minute practice periods by feeling happiness rise in us according to our Father's will and ours. Begin the exercises with the thought today's idea contains. Then realize your part is to be happy. Only this is asked of you or anyone who wants to take his place among God's messengers. Think what this means. You have indeed been wrong in your belief that sacrifice is asked. You but receive according to God's plan and never lose or sacrifice or die. Yeah, the only sacrifice I'm asked to make is sadness, pain, and suffering, and death. I am willing to do that. I want the joy that is mine by right, and I can have it because it's God's will that I do so. I happily enter into these short meditations knowing that they're leading me to the truth. Paragraph 8. Now, let us try to find that joy that proves to us and all the world God's will for us. It is your function that you find it here and that you find it now. For this you came. Let this one be the day that you succeed. Look deep within you, undismayed by all the little thoughts and foolish goals you pass as you ascend to meet the Christ in you. He will be there, and you can reach him now. What could you rather look upon in place of him who waits that you may look on him? What little thought has power to hold you back? What foolish goal can keep you from success when he who calls to you is God himself? Paragraph 10, he will be there. You are essential to his plan. You are his messenger today, and you must find what he would have you give. Do not forget the idea for today between your hourly practice periods. It is yourself who calls to you today, and it is him you answer every time you tell yourself you are essential to God's plan for the salvation of the world. You know how I said that I could be stubborn? Well, that is my split mind, the part of the mind that is enamored with these stories and doesn't want to give them up. But on the other hand, or rather, on the other part of the mind, stubbornness is seen as determination. I am determined to let go of all that tempts me to anything other than joy, other than God. All day today, I will remember my purpose, and I look forward to each meditation in which I seek to find God within my mind. Thank you for sharing this lesson with me, and thank you for watching my video. And if you found it helpful, then please like it. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. And I'll be back tomorrow with another lesson.